Hey everybody, Theresa here and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a 12 by 12 scrapbook layout to share with you, and so I'm going to do my version of this quilted background look, and I'm working with the Paige Evans Go the Scenic Route collection and this lovely bit of patterned paper that has all the different patterns included on it in convenient little squares. And I'm just going to cut that apart and then layer them back onto a background sheet, which is a Felicity Jane solid cardstock. And then I also have the stickers and the alphabets, the die cut ephemera, and so just some other embellishments from that collection that I'm going to use to layer it with. And so jumping right in here, I'm going to go ahead and trim all these cute little squares down, and I'm going to mix them up just a little bit from how they originally appeared on the patterned paper. And that way, what I'm doing is trying to make sure that the colors are well balanced across the page. So you'll notice that the sort of orange colors are balanced. Like there's one orange square on the second row and one on the bottom row. There's a blue on the second row and a blue square on the third row, and just sort of mixing it up a bit. And then what I'm going to do, once I have them all kind of laid out, you can see that I'm just going around the edges with my scissors. You can also use, Tim Holtz has an edge distresser tool that you can use. I have it, but sometimes I'm just too lazy to pull it out. But that's just giving it a little bit of texture around these edges. You can also, these squares have stitching printed on them. What I find when you distress the edges a little bit, then it sort of conceals where all of the squares might not be perfectly cut to the same size. And so when you pull them together, then that sort of conceals those imperfections. And it adds just a little bit of texture to the page. I think it's a lot of fun. But you could stitch around those with your sewing machine if you wanted to, or I don't know, if you wanted to punch in a stitch pattern around them, you could do that as well. And so now that I have them all cut out, they're all laid out on the page, and they're all distressed around the edges, I'm going to finalize where I want to put them on the page. And I've decided, also, of course, trying to figure out how does this fit in with where I want to put the photo for the layout, which of course is the focal point. And so I'm deciding to center it in the middle of the cardstock, but I'm going to leave a bit of space at the bottom for the title, journaling, and then there will be a little bit of space around the edges for some embellishments if I decide to use that space as well. So you certainly could leave it off-centered if you wanted to. That was an option that I considered for the first part of this layout. I was considering doing the quilted background off-centered. But I think that it makes a lot of sense to do it this way, and I think that you'll like how it turns out as well. And so I'm just adhering all of these cute little squares down, and then I'm going to have some fun figuring out how I want to embellish it. And at this point, I'm not really sure how I want to embellish it, but I know that I already made the decision to put the photo down in the lower right hand corner. That's a go-to photo position for me for some reason. And so I had this adorable little photo. We had these giant muffins, and Natalie was wearing these funky little rainbow glasses, and she had this tie-dye shirt on. And so I created the title to say in full color, because that's really what that photo says to me. She's just all color here. And so I created the title using the alphabet from the Go the Scenic Route collection, and then added this puffy sticker above it that says happiness is here. And I think that carries the whole mood of the photo and the layout as well. There's so much color in this layout, and what makes it work is the sheer whimsy of it all. And there's so much cute things to look at. But what you'll see is that embellishing this layout helps us to make sense of what are we looking for. And so I'm going to add a couple of die cuts and some of the chipboard pieces around the photo first of all. And so your eye is going to kind of go across the bottom there. It's going to read the title in full color and then end at the photo with all of these embellishments around it. And so what I've added are the chipboard bird that is in the upper right hand corner of the photo, and she's sort of looking out over the whole page, and she sort of bounces your eye back into the page. She creates a relationship with that right border of the page. And so remember that good design leads your eye around the page, and so we have a good sense of direction here. That bird helps direct us. The photo also helps direct us too, because Natalie is posing so that she's facing in towards the layout. Oh, that's hilarious. You can see in our pantry in that photo as well. There you go. I also added some tags and stickers. Another bird sticker will go on the left-hand side of the photo. Some of the puffy hearts and chipboard hearts, because, you know, there's never too many hearts on a layout. And some of the word strip stickers. Of course, you'll be able to see the details of this layout on our blog at theresamoxley.com. And I also invite you, if you want more inspiration for documenting your children's their lives and their school years, then join us in the classroom for In My Pocket Kids. And I'll be sure and link that below, and you'll be able to find a whole lot more inspiration in the classroom, and also learn a whole lot more details about the planning and the organizing that I do in order to work through and tackle the school year projects. This layout doesn't really have to do with a school year per se, but it was, the time frame was January, March of 2020, so right before we went into lockdown for the pandemic. And so remember I had said something about how the embellishing of this layout is going to help our eye make sense of the page. And so what I decided to do was, now that I have all these gorgeous squares that are sort of quilted for the background, I'm going to highlight a couple of the squares. And so I decided every other square, I'm going to add some embellishments, some word strips, some stickers, chipboard pieces too, and this will help some of those squares will now come into the foreground, and you'll be able to travel around the page that way as well, because we want to lead the eye around the page. And so I started with some of the word strips on the white square there, in sort of in the middle of the page, that say happy, everyday fun, and laughter. And then I also added a butterfly with a couple of the puffy stickers from that sticker set, and a floral embellishment. And then also at the top, you'll see the globe with wild and free, and then the yellow bright side at the top right hand corner. I didn't end up using the negative space there at the top of the layout. That's reserved for the items at the bottom of the page. I don't know why. I think that there's kind of this progression that goes from top to bottom on this layout, where at the top it's kind of sort of organized and everything is in its little box, and then at the bottom all bets are off. So that's fun. It's a fun way to do a layout, to have this very organized feel at the top, and then at the bottom let loose a little bit. You'll see here I'm just going to tie a bit of twine to the tag that is layered by the photo, and then I am adhering this little twine. This is some little orange and white twine that I've had in my stash, and I'm sort of laying it out on the page and then adhering it down. This is in the style of Cassie Box of the Paper Issues store. She does this with her twine, and I love that about her layout. So be sure to check her out as well. And it's just a fun way to, again, add more texture and dimension to your pages. Thank you so much for joining me for this process video today, and I will see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.